What's up, guys? I'm here with Nick today. We're going to talk a little bit about the documentary we're starting to work on called Building Resilience with Richard Stubbs, which is an awesome project where Richard is building a boat by hand and then sailing it down the Mississippi River, and along the way talking to a lot of people about mental health and going through mental health journeys and really exploring the idea of building resilience and putting that into practice. So Nick, I guess just talk to us a little bit about what got you interested in this project. Obviously, it's super adventurous, and it seems like it's going to be a really interesting thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. It's funny because, I like to sometimes remind myself, like, wait, how did we get here? How did we get connected with Richard? And then how are we talking now about a full-length documentary film? Like, that's kind of crazy, especially when we talk about filming this guy boating down the Mississippi River. Like, that just opens up a whole can of worms. So, we have had a relationship with Richard, creating video assets for his own business. So before Building Resilience, we knew Richard. He's actually a business neighbor of ours, literally about 10 steps from our door. So known him for about a year and a half, and obviously there wasn't any movie discussion until maybe 4 months ago. But as I always say, relationships are everything. And from the moment I met him, to the moment of our team creating content for him realizing that he can trust us to carry out a project, those initial steps were, retrospectively, like, very important. And so we've known Richard for a while. We've grown together as businesses. And so really it just came from our initial kind of connection to Richard. And of course, NAF, we're always looking for, what's the next project? Like, what, kind of keeping our eyes open, our ears open to what's going on in the world. And so Richard came to me and said he had something he wanted to pitch to us, for which I was extremely excited about. And once I did get the pitch from him at a lunch meeting, I knew this project had legs.
Yeah, and I mean, really, as soon as you told me about it, I could tell that you were extremely excited for it. I know you've filmed feature-length documentaries in the past, so I guess just tell us a little bit about the specific things that excite you with this project.
Initially, working with Richard, again, there wasn't any discussion or talk about making a movie or any film about his midlife crisis as a therapist. So this was all fresh to me. I was excited because it reminded me of a few projects that we've already done and done really well. So, of course, a lot of people know about Illegal. That was in 2018 through 2020, a documentary about an immigrant and his kind of life or death journey to the United States and reaching the American dream. So I've always enjoyed those stories of overcoming obstacles and doing seemingly the impossible. And so hearing Richard talk about navigating the Mississippi from top to bottom, I thought, man, like, that seems kind of daunting, and imagine filming that as well. So that was kind of what got me interested, was, of course, the physical challenge, but secondly, I saw something deeper, something more valuable than just the kind of the physicality of achieving this massive goal. Just like with Illegal, there was a lot of, I think, emotional, political opportunities where that film could really make a difference in our world today and maybe reshape how people think about immigration. So thinking about building resilience, similarly, this film could be very important, not just here on a local level or state or national, but just worldwide. When we talk about mental health, and it's in the news, it's a trendy topic, and it's important. And so I'm really excited to create a film that's not just impressive and a bucket list item, but rather it makes a difference in our world today.
Right, and I think one of my favorite things about it is I always love being a part of stories that actually take place over a physical journey where your character is actually making a journey from one place to another, because it just gives you the opportunity to frame so many of those ideas in cool ways. But obviously this journey, like you said, it's going to be daunting. It's going to be very challenging. So tell us a little bit about kind of what Richard is up against, and maybe a little bit about what we might be up against as the production crew when we're filming this project.
Illegal was a tough one. We went to, I think, 4 different countries, filming in environments and locations that sometimes were risky, or you think about weather, you think about documentary filmmaking. We use the term like guerrilla filmmaking, or run and gun, and you're out there day and night filming anything and everything that comes your way. This project is very much like that. It's going to be hard, and if we just talk about the literal trip of boating down the Mississippi, like that sounds really hard. Well, imagine we will also be there, going down the Mississippi. So it's not like we are removed from or separated, so to speak, from Richard. We are very much going to be right there in the boat, on the boat, around the boat, filming him, filming his subjects interacting. And so, so many of our projects, it's like, hey, we show it for a day and then we leave, or we film for a few hours, we break for lunch, we take a break. This is not that. This is going to be a hard, difficult, challenging project, day in and day out, for literally a whole month. So I think just the initial challenge of physical exhaustion, keeping our spirits high, and still doing our best work on day 10, on day 20, that's going to be hard. So I think that's a massive challenge. And then let's talk about the technical, right? I mean, not just being awake and alive and energized, but like, what about all that storage? What about all those batteries? What about the potential for weather? And then how do we do our best to prepare for a rainstorm, or do our best to prepare for bumpy conditions? That there's endless variables. And I'm really excited, of course, for someone like you, being our producer and doing an amazing job working with us to prepare for the shoot. But ultimately, I think the physical challenge, the technical challenge, and then with those aside, the artistic challenge, right? It's like, day 22, are we going to still have that mojo of like, hey, we're making a movie? Or by that point, are we just like so homesick that we like want to get the heck out of there? All valid challenges, and I honestly, I just can't imagine doing this alone, and can't be more grateful for you and the guys that we can do this together to ultimately deliver the highest product.
Yeah, it's going to be a journey for all of us, that's for sure. I mean, when you're trying to get cameras onto a boat and film people on another boat, there's all sorts of fun things that can happen. But you talked a little bit about timeline there, and maybe just walk us through that a little bit more. It feels like just yesterday when the idea for this project came up, and now all of a sudden Richard's almost done building a boat. So it's becoming very real very quickly. So give us a little bit more of an idea about the timeline for this.
Yeah, a project like this does require careful execution, and that's why, again, for this last couple months, we did this initial filming for the crowdfunding campaign. Now, we're in discussion to, launch this crowdfunding campaign. And if everything goes well and the funding arrives, then, we see ourselves on the Mississippi River come August 2026, which is like, wait, that's like 7-8 months from now. And of course, for NAF, it's like, yeah, the time's going to fly. We're, of course, going to be busy with other projects and keeping busy in that regard. But the timeline is to film next summer. And as Richard has said, we're aiming for about a month of time, on the Mississippi filming. I imagine it's going to be very much a day-to-day, interviews, B-roll, rinse and repeat, right? And of course, you know, during that time, there's going to be a lot of kind of DIT, you know, content ingesting, batteries charging our batteries, of course, in that sense. But that's the timeline up to filming. And then, of course, I imagine September we would jump into editing and hopefully have a documentary film before the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get to that point. I mean, it's already, you can kind of imagine it in your head already, but obviously there's so many different things that can happen, and that's the fun part about documentary filmmaking. So with that being said, I guess just tell us, how can people stay connected with this documentary? How can friends and family and the community support this and support Richard and support us?
So really, we just appreciate everyone's support, whether it's monetary or it's just sharing the word. Get the word out. Share this video with your friends. Let people know what's going on, because every dollar counts. Every post reshare counts, because one way or another, this project is going to happen.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Richard's taking this boat down the Mississippi no matter what, but the more help we get with this, the more things we can do and the better we can document it. So thank you all for watching. Stay connected so you can go with us on this crazy journey, and we'll send you an update as soon as we can. Also, are we going to get like seasick on the Mississippi? Is the Mississippi that big?